This is lesson 9-3, solving quadratic equations. Quadratic equation is any equation that can be written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It's very similar to our standard form of a quadratic function, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. This is also known as standard form of a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation can have 0, 1, or 2 real solutions. In this particular course, we do not get into imaginary numbers, but it is important to know that it can have 0, 1, or 2 solutions. There are several different ways to solve quadratic equations. The three that we will examine in this course are the graphing method to find the roots or zeros of the function, finding square roots, and the most common way, factoring. A reminder to you that the zeros of a quadratic function occur where the graph crosses the x-axis, i.e., the x-intercepts. Let's take a look at the solving by graphing procedure and doing an example. The first step you want to do is graph the function. Next, find the x-intercepts. Let's take a look at an example. Find the solutions to the equation x squared minus 1 equals 0. From here, what I want to do is graph the function y equals x squared minus 1. To graph this function, the first thing I need to do is find my axis of symmetry. Reminder that the axis of symmetry formula from lesson 9-2 is x equals negative b over 2a. When I plug my numbers into the formula, b value is equal to 0. A value is 1. So we have 0 over 2, which equals 0. So my axis of symmetry is 0. Then I need to create a table. I have an x column. I have a y equals x squared minus 1 column. And I have a y column. You can also do this by translating a parent function, or you can do it via a graphing calculator. Doing it with the table method, when x is 0, y is negative 1. When x is 1, y is 0. And when x is 2, y is 3. Now I'll graph my points on that side of the axis of symmetry. It's 0, negative 1, 1, 0, and 2, 3. I can now reflect my points over the y-axis to get two other points. I'll put those points in blue. The points I can get are negative 1, 0, and negative 2, 3. At this point, I'll connect my dots in a curved fashion, parabola fashion. Put arrowheads on the end, label my function, and now try to find my roots. The roots, again, are where the graph crosses the x-axis. We have one here, and we have one here. So therefore, the answer to this equation is x equals negative 1 and 1. Here's an example for you to try. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to do it on your own. I have found the axis of symmetry for you. Let's create a table. Again, of course, you can graph this using a parent function method or the graphing calculator. When x is 0, y is 5. When x is 1, y is 6. And when x is 2, y is 9. Let's graph our points. 0, 5, 1, 6, 2, 9. We can reflect across the y-axis for negative 1, 6 and negative 2, 9. Then I can connect my dots. I can see from my graph, as I label it, that my graph does not cross the x-axis. Therefore, there are no solutions, no real solutions to this equation. Solving a quadratic equation using square roots, the first thing we have to do is isolate x squared on one side of the equation. Obviously, if you're using a different variable, you will isolate that variable squared. Next, square root both sides and simplify. Here's an example. Find the solutions of 3x squared minus 75 equals 0 by solving with roots. The first thing I'm going to do is add 75 to both sides. That gives me 3x squared equals 75. Then, to isolate the x squared, I need to divide by 3 on both sides. That gives me x squared equal to 25. Now I need to square root both sides. Now this is the first time we're going to deal with this, but when I square root both sides, I don't just assume the positive root. I need to also include the negative root. So in this case, x is equal to plus or minus 5. Here's an example for you to try. Pause the video at this point to give yourself a chance to do it on your own. To start, I want to add 32 to both sides. I'm left with 4x squared equals a positive 16. Then I'll divide by 4. That gives me x squared equal to 4. Then I'll square root both sides. X is now equal to the positive and negative root, positive plus or minus 2. If you're having any issue with this particular lesson, please make sure you consult your teacher in class.